Okay, Jeff again here. I want to give another example of how I've used, some of these metrics or it's evaluation assessments or what do you call these things? In having done this in machine translation kind of companies before, so those that actually make money off doing these products, right? And when they have evaluations that are done by the professional, like translators, right? That are real translators, right? And actually not just real translators, but actually people that are not real translators but are bilingual or somewhat bilingual, right? And I've had to do this where I set this up kind of like simplified measurements because you don't want to get into something that has like 10 because it just gets too complex. People usually have a problem trying to evaluate in a measure of 10. Um, the more numbers you get, well, it gets into five. It's really nice to have something that is odd, okay, not even numbers. Like you don't want something that's 4. You really don't want to have something that's 4. You have 8 or 10, okay? Because there's no middle, right? There's no real middle. Um, where you kind of want to say, well, I'm not sure, right? I maybe. Um, and you actually have one what's that non-applicable. You want something called non-applicable too, but it's really a lot of people when you do this kind of thing, they want to have like this middle thing, this kind of like this middle ground. So it's really good to have like 3, 5, 7. In my journal kind of experience of doing this because I want a middle thing that just I'm not sure. I can't decide on one side or the other, and that's where you get decided. Well, do you want to have 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side, or you don't have 3 on the left side, 3 on the right side, right? Of the middle. That's where it's 1 or 2 or 3 on each side, right? Of the middle. That's what it comes down to. So it's either 3, 5, or 7, right? When you get up to 9, it's kind of you have 3 on each side, or 4 on each side, 4 on each side of one. And that gets kind of complicated. Like 9 levels is really when you want to start really digging deep. But again, it's going to depend on what level of assessment you're in. And I think that this really depends. I really believe that you have to do different levels of assessment. You have to have the weeding out. Like when you go and you weed your garden, you take the weeds out. You got to weed stuff out really fast. And you don't want to weed out something that has 9 different levels because it's way too complicated, right? It's like sending an RFP out to like 50 different companies. No, you want to you want to weed out the companies with the other simple questions and get down to the 5 companies that you really want to send the RFP out to. And then you send the whole list of questions and then you begin to dig in deep, right? So my approach to this is I'm gonna have to probably do this in 1 or 2 videos to my approach because it's really simple, but you gotta have to believe in this to actually want to do it this way, right? So my belief in doing this, and I've done this actually, I do the same thing like MT post editing and a monolingual subtitle post editing. I have 2 different levels, right? I have different levels of approaching this. I don't believe that there's one level you do it all one time you do everywhere. It's like empty post editing. You gotta have a minimal post editing. You have medium post editing. You have full post editing. You have at least 3 different levels, but you don't apply the full post editing everywhere, and you don't apply the medium post editing everywhere. You apply the medium. You decide where you're going to apply them to, and then you apply it, and then you do it right. But always start the simplest. Do not over-engineer things. The problem that really happens a lot is that people try to over-engineer it to the point where they're trying to put too much quality in something that you don't need to have all that over quality of at the level that you're dealing with. So what I really believe here, what needs to be done, is that you take a very simple metric of 3, okay, which is actually 1, but it's 3 because you have to give somebody choices, right? And I believe when you want to weed things out and get through the first level of, and you can apply this later if you want to, but always the first level of weeding out to get it, is it worth thinking about or not, or keeping or not? You want to have neutral as the middle is maybe, and the maybe could be maybe yes, maybe not. Okay, it's just maybe. People have to decide at what point they're going to push the maybe to the right or to the left side, right, of this 3. Then you have good, maybe, bad, right? So good is keep it. Keep. Good. Maybe, not sure. Bad, throw out. That's the fastest way to get rid of stuff, if you want to go through an assessment. Get rid of all the bad. So the way this works is people do this in 2 rounds, right? It's iterative. The first thing you want to do is get rid of all the bad, right? Because you want to throw those out and you want to keep track of those so you can actually fix them, right? So you want to have good, maybe bad. And you get everybody to get the bad, but to get those out. Those are good to bug fixing. Got to create tickets for those to create the bug fixing, to fix all those, right? Then you come around a second round, you say the maybes. What do we do with the maybes now? After you've looked at because you've looked at all the bads, right? And now you know what the bads really are. So now the question is, are some of these maybes, can we put them in the bad? Or should we keep them with the keep? Good, okay? It's kind of this range right here. So the goal is to actually get to push all the maybes, or push some of the maybes to the bad. So you really want to create tickets for this, because you want to start creating tickets. You don't want to create 10 million tickets to do fixes, right? You want to create the tickets of the things that are really bad, right? That are making people laugh. The maybes are kind of like the accent things. Well, I understand, but it's okay. But it's the bad is all the laughable stuff, right? The bad is laughable stuff. The maybe is, yeah, I understand. Okay, I still, there are mistakes, but I still understand. The good is, it's acceptable. It can be good, could be really good, or it could be more than acceptable. It's kind of like little minor mistakes, right? And so you want to do this first round. That's the fastest way to get rid of things, because it's so fast, just so fast. You can do the evaluations with 3s so fast, a level 3 levels so fast. Then what I believe what you ought to do is you take a level of 5, 7, or 9, depending. I think what you should do is actually have them have a level 5, have a level 7, have a level 9, because you want to do some cross-validation, see if you've done some things, to see if the people are going to do it the same way. Take the same sentences, take the same things, and do it at a level 5, do it at level 7, do it at level 9, to see if you're going to get the same results. If you get the same results with 5 as you get with 9, then the 5 is going to do, right? But you want to see, this is where you want to test things, to see if you get the similar statistics on these things. Now, again, this takes time to do. And people have to want to do it. And they have to be willing to actually go through this exercise and spend the time doing it. If you don't have time to do it, and you don't have people to do it and resources, then forget it, because you're not going to get this. You're not going to get good, real accurate results of testing between the 5, 7, and 9. But what you do is get rid of all the stuff of the three levels, and then you take the 5, 7, 9 approach, right? Depending which one you want to do. Do the testing of all this kind of stuff, kind of get an idea if the 5, 7, 9 are pretty close, and then decide which one is, because if you're using 9 all the time, a level of 9 scores, it's going to take more time to do. It's taking more time to go through, because people have to think. They have to actually think more. They have to decide if they're choosing which one of those 4 on the right side is it closest to, or is the middle, or is it on the left side. And your goal in all of this, okay, is to do some fine tuning to the point where, because you've gotten rid of everything that's really bad with the 3 level, when you get to the 5, 7, 9, then everything's going to be to the right. There's going to be the maybe up to the high, up to the keep, right, in the label. So you're really going to be focusing on that. And so it's really okay at this point. Maybe you got to do a second one of like 5s to get rid of stuff faster, a little bit, to do it again. And then what's left is where you're not really sure of how to deal with the extra like 10, 20, 30%, I don't know, that you keep, or the stuff that you keep. What's left, then you want to go to the 7 or 9. You want to begin to deep dive into that and figure out how much those people are willing to actually keep it, or they want to have a feeling that it's a little bit to the left or the right on a thing. This is how you do this iteratively, but you got to have time to do this. Okay, you can't do this and pop this off, but you can do this quickly if you do this in this approach, because then they're going to see that you're getting rid of the bad stuff. The hardest thing is actually going people and seeing all the bad stuff. And they have to spend the time too much on bad stuff, because what the people really want to spend their time in is on the good stuff, right? Or the side of the maybe good. That's where you want them to spend the most of their effort of determining how good it is, right? Yes. Because how bad it is, you want to get rid of it really, really quickly, right? And put it in the bug list, the bug fix list. It's when you want to get this the maybe in the middle to the 4 to the right, and that, which is it? Is it 6, 7, 8, or 9, right? Because is it still a 5, or is it 6, 7, or 8, 9? How much of that? And you got to give them to let them do these nuances. And you got to have some criteria to actually help them make that decision. Because now you're getting into, and this is where like a J2450 comes into place and all this stuff, where you begin to give those old things, then you get to fine tune that. But you only want to be looking at this like at a certain percentage of the stuff, of the content that you're keeping, right? And you got to, and this is, you got to just quick assessments. And I found that doing really quick assessments with a 3, you get stuff done really fast. You go through and you clean up stuff. If you're doing some quick testing of a new build of the stuff you want to check it, just do it that way. If you're doing stuff like quick new features and stuff, you want to do it, just do it at level 3. Start just 3 levels, because that's going to help you determine what's really working, what's not, right? And then that fine tuning is you can take this through a level of 5 to kind of get the next level, see, and then take it to level 9. You go through level 7. You can decide how many you want to do. You have to kind of test this out with your people. You got to train them how to do this. And this is where you're going to get don't give it to them and say, hey, just figure it out yourself, because that will be, that'll be catastrophic. But if you're doing this really well, then you can kind of fine tune it. And then you'll start getting into that, well, what is the actual problem here? What's the actual diagnostic with the troubleshooting of the specific point of this specific question, of the specific example, right? This is multi-level assessments. I don't know what to call this. I haven't really thought about this in the kind of things. I should actually think of this from a technical point of view. But this is you're doing. It's just like doing like I said, doing sanity testing versus doing unit testing versus doing suite integration testing. You're finally getting to the value of the bugs, and things you're getting more specific to very specific scenarios and things, where then you want to really, that's adding the real value to the actual bug to determine if you really need to fix it or not. Sometimes you don't want to, because it's okay. Now, over engineering, again, is applying too much to the actual process of determining if the change is necessary or not. And sometimes it's okay to keep it, even if there's some mistakes in there, because there are approximations, and it all depends on how close the approximation is to what the person's point of reference is, right? And the point of reference is going to be the number 5 or the number 3, the one in the middle. That's the point of reference. It's kind of not. I mean, it's actually the point of where it kind of says that way. You're determining how close you've come to that prototype, right? To the reference. And are you beginning to move away from it, or are you getting closer to it? Now it's really close, right? You kind of have to feel this thing while you're doing this. And it's a lot of fun. But this cannot be done with a level 10 metric, the level 10 of thing, the metrics and stuff. You can't. You can weed out the stuff and then I would compare the blue stuff and all that and all the other metrics with like the 3 level. Try to see how it compares and see if they give the same results. If they don't, they kind of moderate and kind of tweak it a little bit and try it again. And when you do this, you'll get to a point where it's way faster. It's really, really good. And you're going to have people want to do this because they want to go through it really fast, right? And you want something simple. Less is simple. The less you have to explain, the less you have to go through it, the simpler it is for them to do it. The faster it's for them to do it, and the more they'll enjoy doing it. But if you're making them go through hell every single time to do a 9-point measurement, they will hate doing this. They will just hate doing it. So that's my thoughts on how I would do uh, this. And this brings it down to my concept of the the good, bad, and ugly, or the good maybe and the ugly, right? It's it's good maybe and ugly. And the ugly are the cockroaches, right? Um, so this is and the bed bugs and things in the hotels, right? Or the food that made you sick, right? And vomit. These are the kind of things. That's how I would implement in an iterative way, kind of in an agile way of doing it and improving it. Um, and then you get down to it's weeding out. It's a really a weeding out approach. Uh, and this seems to work. Seems to work. It's faster. So hey, I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but I'm saying I've done it this way, and I've seen how fast it goes, and I've seen that it just is much more effective, efficient, and effective, and you don't have to go through too much. You know, some people don't want to sit their time evaluating these things 10 million times, right? So this is the way to kind of get out the stuff and not to focus too much on the negative stuff, because the negative stuff you just want to get those out and throw those in the bug reports, right? You do those immediately, bug reports. You want to focus on the how close to perfect. How close to perfect is the final one. So that's my approach on that one. Hope that helps.